Good morning. Good morning. Welcome or welcome back to Bookeemonsters. My name is PK. It is Wednesday, July the 30th. And you know what today is? Today is Elena's birthday. Happy birthday, Elena. Are you doing stuff today? Do you have any plans? Helen says, afternoon and happy birthday, Elena. And Elena says, thanks, everyone. Cajun says, happy birthday, Elena. And morning to everyone. Awesome. What a good day to have a birthday. We are going to be looking at the darker side of crime fiction. We're looking at crime fiction and thrillers that were published this week. We do a show now every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Friday is Friday Finishers, and we will be looking at the leftovers. There's a lot of leftovers from Monday. We'll see what we can get through today. Quick announcements. I don't have any sprints tonight. Excuse me. Our next sprints are tomorrow night, Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. All right. First up, You Belong Here by Megan Miranda. Memories fade, but on this campus, legacies are never forgotten or forgiven. Beckett Bowery never thought she'd return to Wyatt Valley, a picturesque college town in the Virginia mountains steeped in tradition. Her roots there were strong. Beckett's parents taught at the college, and she never even imagined studying anywhere else. Until a tragedy her senior year ended with 2 local men dead and her roommate on the run, never to be seen again. For the last 2 decades, Beckett has done her best to keep her distance. Then her daughter, Delilah, secretly applies to Wyatt College and earns a full scholarship, and Beckett can only hope that her lingering fears are unfounded. But deep down, she knows that Wyatt Valley has a long memory and that the past isn't the only dangerous thing in town. Of the Deepest Fake by Daniel Kalla. Leah Mersch has it all. A loving family, a thriving career as CEO of an AI company, financial security, and a bright future. But when he's diagnosed with a terminal illness just weeks after discovering his wife's infidelity, his perfect life unravels. As he grapples with his fate, he prepares to face his final days on his own terms. However, unexplained events inside his company make him question everything, including his diagnosis. In a world of deepfake videos, synthetic voices, and digital deception, couldn't these technologies be weaponized against him? What if nothing is as it seems? With time running out, Liam turns to Andrea DeWalt, a private investigator contending with her own feelings of betrayal, to help him uncover a conspiracy that threatens his life, his family, and their future. In a world where nothing is as it seems and every digital footprint can be manipulated, who can Liam trust? Robert Ludlum's The Bourne Escape by Brian Freeman. This is part of the Jason Bourne series, Robert Ludlum's Estate. This is book number 21 in the Jason Bourne series. Jason Bourne is on a boat in the Mediterranean moonlight with his lover, Joanna. He's happy for the first time in years. Then, in the next instant, he finds himself floating on wreckage as fire and smoke choke the sky. Johanna is gone, and Bourne finds the darkness of lost memory closing around his mind again. As he did once before, Bourne must piece together the fragments of who he is, even as assassins hunt him across Europe. He teams up with his spy chief Shadow, who reveals the shocking secret that Bourne's surrogate father, David Abbott, the founder of Treadstone, is alive and missing. Together they must find Abbott before his enemies do. But Shadow is a master of manipulation who won't hesitate to betray Bourne to get what she wants. With his memory returning in bits and pieces, Jason discovers that the explosion that stole away his identity is part of a deadly game being played among powerful adversaries from Moscow to Washington. It's a game with no winners because even if he finds David Abbott, Bourne may find himself with no way out and everything to lose. Out of the Woods by Greg Olson. In May 2005, authorities discovered the Green, grown family, murdered in their Idaho home. The family's youngest members, 8-year-old Shasta and her brother 9-year-old Dylan, were nowhere to be found. As the community prayed for their return, Shasta and Dylan were already miles away in the woods of Montana at the hands of serial killer Joseph Edward Duncan. After a harrowing 48-day ordeal, Shasta was rescued. In many ways, her survival story was only beginning. In the following years, while Shasta struggled to outrun her trauma, a pattern of self-destructive behavior shadowed her like an ever-worsening thunderstorm. She still had hope buried deep inside, every bit as much as the little girl who had been held captive in the woods. This would be an all-new battle for Shasta, and she was determined not to lose. End of row 1. Only the Dead Within, second in the Gravediggers series by Lisa Childs. Yet another teen has gone missing from the Gold Memorial Gardens, and Child Protective Services investigator Claire Underwood isn't giving up until she finds him. For Claire, solving the case is more than business. Years ago, she lost a friend in that cemetery. Over time, the authorities deemed all the disappeared teens runaways, while local legend blamed the ghost of the murderous gravedigger, much to the satisfaction of the Golds, also known as the Ghouls. Claire has always suspected the Golds were involved, including in some recent murders among their own. She went to high school with Noah Gold. He was very quiet and very intense, like someone with something to hide. Noah is sick of being cast in the same light as his conniving, money-hungry family. He's still a bit antisocial, but he's just as determined as Claire to unearth the truth and finally bury the legend of the gravedigger. With a common goal, he and Claire join forces, but it's a quest that puts them in mortal danger. Only with the help of the local sheriff, whose own brother vanished years ago, do they have a chance of surviving. Yet, the truth that awaits them is more terrifying than any ghost. J.T. Ellison has a new one. Last Scene. Come here, come closer. Hallie James knows her marriage is over. She's not prepared for the rest of her life to fall apart too. No one can hear you. No one can help you. She just lost her job at the forensics lab. Her dad needs emergency surgery. But the biggest blow comes back home in Marchburg, Virginia, where she discovers her mother didn't actually die in a car crash. Her mom was murdered, and her father lied about it all these years. I have nothing to hide from you. Are you hiding something from me? Since she was 6 years old, it's been Hallie and her dad. Now she doesn't know what to believe. Desperate for the truth, Hallie chases down a lead in Brockville, Tennessee. But all there is not as it seems. Brockville's utopian charm hides a chilling darkness, and Hallie's search for answers threatens to expose an unspeakable reality. But she will speak it because she wrote a book about it. Charlie Donnelly. Guess again. Ten years ago, 17-year-old high school volleyball star Callie Jones vanished from her quiet Wisconsin lake community. A highly publicized search followed, but her body was never found. The case went cold, but the echoes still linger. Ethan Hall, a former renegade detective turned ER doctor, left law enforcement to escape the horrors of the Kid Crime Division. But on the 10th anniversary of Callie's disappearance, his former partner, Pete Kramer, makes a desperate request. Pete is the veteran detective who originally investigated the case. Now he's dying, and to ease his conscience and get closure for the Jones family, he needs Ethan to return to the haunting work he left behind and solve what happened to Callie once and for all. Word soon spreads, and everyone in the small town of Cherry View feels a rush of hope that answers will finally be found. Amid a sweltering heat wave, Ethan's investigation gains momentum, but re-examining old evidence won't be enough. He needs a new way into the case, no matter how dangerous or unconventional. And it comes from the least likely of sources, an inmate in a maximum security prison. Soon, Ethan's methods draw him deeper into a twisted psychological game, because there is much more to the nightmare of Callie's disappearance than he imagined, including a connection with his own dark past and secrets that are still worth killing for. You know I love me some cold cases. Gone to Ground by Morgan Hatch. Javier Jimenez is on a glide path to college while his brother Alex has done a 180 and is heading for trouble. Neither, however, have any idea what's coming their way when George Jones sets in motion his plan for their neighborhood. It's a cataclysmic vision of urban renewal replete with man-made disasters, civil unrest, and a tsunami of ambitious Zoomers. Meanwhile, Alex and Javier's feud quickly escalates, even as Alex finds himself in way over his head with Denker Street, the local gang. The bodies start falling, and Javier soon realizes Jones has put a target on his back. It's time to go to ground. Can he keep Alex from falling further into the streets? Can he outplay Jones at his own game? All this and his own hopes, once so bright, now fading like a smog-shrouded LA skyline. End of row 2. Kyle Mills has a new one, Fade In. When ex-Navy SEAL Salam Fade Al-Fayed steps in front of a sniper's bullet, he assumes that he's reached the end of the road. His death wish has finally been answered. Instead, he wakes in a hospital. As one of the deadliest operatives in U.S. history, he's now incapable of even standing without assistance. Alone and wanted by authorities, he's destined to spend the rest of his life lying in a prison infirmary. So when a shadowy organization offers him a new identity and next-generation medical care, he has no choice but to agree. Nothing's free, though. After a grueling rehabilitation, he's drafted into an elite paramilitary unit, as you know, it always happens. But who's in charge? When a dire threat, a highly contagious pathogen, explodes out of China, his question is quickly answered. A select group of the world's wealthiest and most powerful people has decided that governments are no longer capable of controlling the chaos erupting around the globe. It's a power grab by billionaires who've decided that it's their time to rule. With panic rising, the leaders of both democracies and dictatorships prove equally willing to destroy anything and anyone to save themselves. Forced into action before he's fully ready, Fade finds himself at the sharp end of a mission to stop a menace unlike any he's faced before. If he fails, the consequences will be unimaginable. But what if he succeeds? Death and the Runaways, third in the Mary Shelley historical mystery series. I've not read this series. This is by Heather Redmond. London, June 1814. On a day out in Hyde Park to celebrate the peace treaty with France, Mary and Jane are less than charmed by their brother Charles's courtship with a girl from the local cheese shop. When Miss Winnet Davies is not swooning from the heat, she's imploring Charles to buy her a pretty dress. But he hasn't a tuppence, nor have they, as their father, philosopher William Godwin, is facing the prospect of debtor's prison. When a constable arrives at the Godwin home the following day looking for Charles, Mary and Jane learn that the lifeless body of Miss Davies was found hanging from a tree branch, and an examination revealed she was with child. Their stepbrother has gone missing. Inclined toward morbidity, Mary assumes he too is dead, but her stepmother admonishes her and insists the sisters find their brother. Before they can search, a terrifying Bow Street runner named Fisher calls and announces his intention to court Mary. Even if she wasn't passionately infatuated with married poet and radical Percy Shelley, she is horrified by the massive Bow Street runner's plan. Despite this, to find her brother and clear his name, Mary and Jane alternately enlist the help of the experienced and intimidating Fisher and Shelley himself, who is as enticed by the opportunity to be close to Mary as he is intrigued by the mystery. But the unfortunate shop girl is only the first to die, and soon the sisters and Shelley face a merciless quarry who will do nothing to silence them. Deadline by Mark Cameron, 7th in the Arliss Cutter series. Deputy U.S. Marshals Arliss Cutter and Lola Tiriki are at frozen Cheney Lake, finally nearing their prey. He's Butch Pritchard, a killer for hire as ruthless as the Anchorage wind and wanted for the murder of a 25-year-old pregnant woman in Missouri. A cruel hit orchestrated by the victim's husband, Royce Decker, a former member of the St. Louis Metro PD and on the run too. As quickly as Butch is in the marshal's sight, he disappears, abandoning a bear of a partner who's terrified for his life. But it isn't Butch or Royce he's afraid of. If it isn't those two outlaws, then who and why? Right now, the creep in custody has gone silent, and Arliss and Lola soon realize there's more to this manhunt than they ever imagined. To see it through to the end, they'll have to find Butch first, then close on the cold-blooded husband. There is one lead to go on, a woman Butch has been involved with. His number one. She's ready to talk, even as scared to death as she is. When Arliss and Lola suddenly face an all-new case linked to this one, they'll find out what everyone is so afraid of and how many ways things could still go terribly wrong. Mean Moms by Emma Rosenblum. Meet Frost, Morgan, and Belle, a wealthy, gorgeous group of New York City moms, the queen bees of downtown Manhattan. Their children attend Atherton Academy, the top private school in the city, and their social lives revolve around elaborate themed parties. On the first day of school, the arrival of a new mom and mysterious beauty from Miami, Sophia, shakes up their world. When Sophia quickly integrates herself into their clique, inexplicably bad things start to happen to the woman. Is someone at school out to get them? Spanning the course of one eventful school year in New York, Mean Moms is part satire of upper crust momming and part mystery interrogating the line between friendship and jealousy and getting at the question, what would happen if the woman standing next to you at school pickup was actually a sociopath? End of that row. The Game is Murder by Hazel Ward. This is, I believe, an interactive, immersive. You are invited to a very special murder mystery party. The game is simple. Listen to the witnesses, examine the evidence, solve the case. Be careful, trust no one. All might not be as it seems. If you agree to play the role of the great detective, you must undertake to provide a complete solution to the case. A verdict is not enough. We need to know who did it, how they did it, and why. Are you ready? Can you solve the ultimate murder mystery and catch a killer? A word of warning, unsolved mysteries are not permitted. Sherry LaPena has a new one. She didn't see it coming. Bryden and Sam have it all. Thriving careers, a small apartment in a luxury condominium, supportive friends, and a cherished daughter. The perfect life for the perfect couple. Then Sam receives a call at his house, at his office. Wow. Bryden, working from home that day, has failed to collect their daughter from daycare. Arriving home with their little girl, he finds his wife's car in the underground garage. Upstairs in their apartment, her laptop is open on the table, her cell phone nearby, her keys in their usual place in the hall. Except Bryden is nowhere to be seen. It's as if she just walked out. How could she have disappeared from her own home? And did she even leave the building at all? With every minute that passes, and as questions swirl around their community, Bryden and Sam's past seems a little less perfect. Their condominium less safe, their friends, neighbors, and relatives no longer quite so reliable. We're going to have to do drive-bys. We're running out of time. A Twist of Fate by Xia Zhang and translators S.L. Park. Two women meet on a train. Each is running from a deadly secret. When one disappears, the other decides to take her place, for better or for worse. Jae-young has just left everything she's ever known, not that it was much, her thankless job, her infested apartment, and her abusive boyfriend who happens to be dead on the kitchen floor. Murder was never the way she envisioned leaving, but times were desperate. Now on a train to the bustling city of Seoul, Jae-young is hoping to escape her transgressions and just become invisible, safe. On the train, she meets a chatty mother fleeing from her infant son from an unfaithful husband and hoping to find refuge with the in-laws she's never met. To avoid further conversation, Jae-young excuses herself for a moment. When she returns, the woman is nowhere to be found. But her crying child remains with a note pleading with Jae-young to take him to his father's family in a remote province far from Seoul. It's not an ideal pit stop, but for the sake of the child, she can't ignore the request. When Jae-young arrives, the house takes her by surprise. It's a gated manor oozing with opulence and finest luxuries, the kind of place she could only dream of setting foot in. What's more, the family assumes Jae-young is their daughter-in-law and invites her to stay. She imagines an easy life in their care, free of worry and fear. And Jae-young realizes there's nothing more invisible than becoming someone else. But both women have ghosts in their past, though unaware of the rot lurking beneath the shiny veneer of her new life. Jae-young will do whatever it takes to make sure she never goes back. Oh, Denise Mina has a new one. The Good Liar. What will it take to tell the truth when your life depends on a lie? A year ago, a father and his fiancée were brutally murdered in their opulent London townhouse, sparking the high-profile murder investigation in recent history. Blood spatter expert Dr. Claudia O'Shale's evidence put the killer behind bars, or so everyone believes. But since the trial, Claudia's learned a horrific truth. Her evidence and her testimony were wrong, and someone she knows made sure of it. Now, as she takes the stage to give a career-defining speech before London's elite, Claudia faces a devastating choice. Protect her children and her career with her continued complicity, or blow the whole conspiracy apart and reveal the truth. Not only is the real murderer still out there, but they're in the audience. As Claudia steps toward the microphone, she revisits that fateful night. What really happened, and what will Claudia say? Okay, now we'll do drive-bys. We Won't All Survive by Kate Alice Marshall. This is perfect for fans of Karen McManus and Holly Jackson. 2 years ago, Mercy Gray was hailed as a hero for saving lives during a mall shooting. She still carries souvenirs from that day, the fragment of a bullet lodged in her back, a mountain of medical debt, and guilt for ignoring her sister's warnings that the sweet boy next door was anything but. The Man Who Died 7 Times by Yasuhiko Nishizawa and translated by Jesse Kirkwood. A subversively cozy Japanese crime novel with an ingenious Groundhog Day twist. A teenager's time loop race to solve and possibly prevent his grandfather's murder. Fine Young People by Anna Bruno. A high school senior investigates the death of a star hockey player at her elite Jesuit school, where she discovers the rot at the heart of the institution and the truth about her own past along the way. All right. Those are the crime fiction and thrillers for today. Cajun says, hope everyone has a good day. Elena, hope you have a wonderful birthday. Absolutely. All righty. Well, again, I don't have any sprints tonight. Our next sprints are tomorrow night, Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. On Friday will be our last morning show of the week. Final Fridays, Friday finishers, Friday free-for-all. We'll be looking at the rest of the Cozy Mysteries, and there's a lot of them. So it will also be a Fast and Furious Friday. All right, thank you guys for watching. Please have a good day. Be safe, be cool, be hydrated. And as the banner says, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Nom, nom, nom. Have a good day. God bless.